So today we will do a little bit of DBQ, not BBQ, but D as in document-based question. Some of you probably heard about this, but a document-based question is analyzing a primary source document and interpreting its meaning. You probably know the procedure from here. You go to law.usd.net, which is our website, and from there you go to Clever. And from Clever, you go to our Cengage World History book, and then you will log in your student credential, or you will log in your student email account with the same password. And from here, of course, you will be led to our World History book. And the navigation side of this is, of course, is on the left side. And from the left side, you will navigate all the information that you need to know. Of course, we are doing Unit 1 and then Chapter 1, Section 2, Christianity. And today, we are doing a document-based question, or DBQ. There you go. So today, we'll be analyzing two documents, very short excerpts from these two New Testament passages. But before we go to that, let me remind you of our chapter essential question. What was the power and enduring legacy of the Roman Empire? And the objective of this lesson is to synthesize information about the New Testament literature from primary source documents. If you can still remember from our previous discussion about primary source documents, one of the characteristics of a primary source document is it is original. It was written during the time of an event in history. So these documents are from the Christian teachings, the original Christian teachings during the time of the early Christians or the first century Christians, such as the Apostle Paul and the early disciples or apostles who wrote the parable told by Jesus Christ through his sermons. We are studying these documents because Christianity played an important role in the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. Remember, you are probably aware of the church named the Roman Catholic Church. And there's a reason for that. It's because of this significant event that happened in our history. Now, to give you a little bit more background about these documents, the New Testament is a collection of early Christian literature. The four Gospels describe the life and the teachings of Jesus based on the memories of early Christians. The book of Acts discusses about events from the resurrection of Jesus to the death of Paul. You probably still remember Paul from our previous lesson. So the letters or epistles come from early Christian leaders, including Paul. The epistles apply the church teachings to issues facing early Christian communities or problems that they encountered. These epistles served as their guidelines on how to live their lives. So the Christian Bible is divided into two parts, the Old and the New Testament. The main teaching of the gospel is the death and resurrection of Jesus, giving the world a new covenant or New Testament that would enable all who repented of their sins and enter the kingdom of heaven. The painting that you are looking right now depicts the parable of the prodigal son, painted by Lucio Massari. You probably heard about the story. It's a story of a son who took everything he will inherit from his father and squandered it. And after he squandered everything, he went back to his father, and the father welcomed him with an open arms. So from here, you'll see that the core of Christianity, besides, of course, the death and resurrection of Jesus, is about love and forgiveness and grace and mercy and things like that. Something that was not really entirely new to the people during this time, but it was definitely radicalized or eventually became so popular that the teaching of Jesus eventually conquered the Roman Empire that is mighty, the Roman Empire that was persecuting them, killing them, and eventually this empire, surrendered to the pressure of the Christian religion eventually declaring its religion as Christianity or declaring Christianity as its official or the empire's official religion. Now enough of the background. Now let's go to our first document here. The first document is the parable of the Good Samaritan. So the Jews and the Samaritans, they hate each other. So during this time when Jesus Christ was telling this story, he was telling this story to the Jews. And in this story, eventually you will learn that the main character in the story is actually not a Jew, but a Samaritan. Mind you, Jesus Christ is a Jew. He's not a Samaritan. But in this story, you'll see. So if I will summarize the story, it's a story of a man, a Jewish man, who was robbed and beaten by criminals, and a priest passed by, and a Jewish priest, mind you, did not help this Jewish person, and another temple worker or a Levite who is also a Jew passed by and did nothing. And here comes a Samaritan. Supposedly, he is an enemy. But in the story, you'll find out that this Samaritan helped the Jew, who is an enemy, and he did way beyond the expectation of being a human being, a good neighbor. So this Samaritan embodies one of the core teachings of Christianity, which is to love your enemy, to help generously, and to give beyond measure. Of course, even during this time, this was a crazy, radical idea. But eventually, this same teaching attracted a lot of people. And just like what I said, what I foreshadowed in our past lessons, eventually, this group of persecuted individuals eventually changed an empire. So the first question that you need to answer is this. How does the Samaritan's response to the beaten man differ from the response of the priest and the Levite? So that is a very simple question to answer. Now let's go to document 2, a shorter passage that we need to analyze. So it's from the epistles or letter of Paul to the Galatians, to the church in Galatia. And Galatia was one of the provinces of the Roman Empire. It contained a number of early Christian communities. So in this letter, Paul stresses some important ideas of the Christian faith. So in this letter, Paul told the Galatians in the church of Galatia, "You are all sons of God through faith in Christ Jesus. For all of you who were baptized have clothed yourself with Christ." Now this is what's important. There is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Christ. So what does this thing teach us? Again, this teaching is something new to a lot of people. So the Jews hate the Greeks because they are irreligious, and the Greeks hate the Jews because they think they are not smart enough. Of course, the slave and the free, they despise each other, male and female. And in the letter, Paul is telling the early Christians that in the church of Christ, in this Christian church, there should be equality between and among members of this new established religion. Now let's go to the question for this document, or the constructed response, the question that you need to answer. What important Christian ideas is Paul stating in this epistle? Go ahead, take a look at the document again. It's a very short document. It's not even a paragraph. So examine it and see for yourself and answer the question, what important Christian ideas is Paul stating in this epistle? So that is chapter 1, section 2.3, document-based question, writings from the New Testament, pages 28 to 29 of your book. Go ahead, answer the review and assess question in the review and assess assignment. I believe it's in the third slide. Now go to our Google Classroom and answer these 2 questions.